banging on about Axl Rose for the rest of your life. Do you?
No. Yeah, it's a lot of attention put on a lot of negative stuff. And
why did Slash go silent for so long, and why is he speaking now? Because what he just said, no one was prepared for it. Definitely not the fans. This isn't just a musical feud. It's a shocker that could shake up everything. What happened behind closed doors? Was Axl Rose really the one to blame? Or has Slash been keeping secrets of his own? The answers are more unsettling than you think. And here's where it gets interesting. Trust is broken, ego bruised, and brotherhood shattered. Stick around, because what Slash just revealed could change everything we thought we knew about Guns N' Roses. The unstoppable duo rise to rock royalty. In 1985, before the drama and the rumors, there was just Slash and Axl Rose. The world was intrigued by these two. From underground clubs to sold-out arenas, they became the heartbeat of rock and roll. Two young guys who were hungry, messy, and ready to take over the world, with music that felt loud and real. They weren't perfect, but together they were magic. Slash was the quiet one. He didn't like interviews much. He doesn't really say much. He let his guitar do the talking. And his guitar had a voice that was louder than words. It could scream, cry, laugh, and burn, all in one solo. You can feel something every time he plays. Then there was Axl Rose. He's loud and full of fire. Axl had this energy, this rage, and charm mixed. He could go from a whisper to a scream in one breath. When he climbed the stage, he didn't just sing, he exploded on stage. You never knew what he would do next, which made him exciting. That's what made Guns N' Roses feel like a lightning storm. They didn't just play music, they made it feel dangerous and alive. When Slash and Axl shared the stage, you could feel the tension, the love, and the chaos all at once. It was like watching two forces crash into each other and make something beautiful. From the smoky bars of Los Angeles to sold-out stadiums around the world, Slash and Axl were unstoppable. They played hard, they lived fast, and they made the kind of music that sticks in your bones. Songs like Welcome to the Jungle, Sweet Child O' Mine, and Paradise City weren't just songs. They were moments in time. But for a while, everything was perfect. They were on magazine covers. Radio stations couldn't stop playing them, and teenagers everywhere copied Slash's hat and tried to sing like Axl. People say rock stars always fight, but during those early years, Slash and Axl looked like brothers more than bandmates. They shared hotel rooms. They toured the world side by side. They stood on stage shoulder to shoulder and faced screaming crowds together. However, the road wasn't always smooth. Fame came fast. The pressure got heavy. But in those first few years, it didn't break them. It brought them closer. And here's the thing no one talks about enough. They needed each other. But this brotherhood didn't last long. Fans began speculating, and people wanted to know what has really happened between these two. Now, Slash is giving us all the tea. And he wasn't just talking about music. He was talking about a bond that changed his life. For now, let's stay in those early years. Let's remember the friendship before the fallout. Before you can understand how something falls apart, you have to know how strong and good it was in the beginning. Before we delve deeper, let's take a quick dive into Slash's early life and how it shaped him. Did Slash grow up too fast? Or was he never given the chance to be a kid at all? What secret from his childhood still haunts him today? A rock legend comes to life. Before the world knew him as Slash, the guitar hero wearing leather and curly hair as famous as his music, he was Saul Hudson. Born on July 23, 1965 in Hampstead, London. He was born into a world full of music, drama, and wild parties from the 1970s. His parents weren't just regular people. They were part of the music and celebrity world, and their lives were full of exciting and sometimes messy things. His dad, Anthony Hudson, was a British artist who made album covers for famous musicians like Neil Young and Joni Mitchell. His mom, Ola Hudson, was a talented and stylish Black American woman who designed clothes for big stars like Diana Ross, Ringo Starr, and, most famously, David Bowie. Meanwhile, Ola didn't just make clothes for David Bowie. They were also in a close and very personal relationship. It wasn't just work. Years later, Slash talked about it himself and said the old rumors were true. When Slash was just a little boy, he said he once walked in and saw his mom and David Bowie without any clothes on. That moment stuck in his mind like a long, slow guitar solo. It wasn't just strange, it was something that really shook him. However, things didn't get easier after that. When Saul was only 5 years old, his parents got divorced, and it was a messy, emotional time. Slash chose to live with his mother after he and his father both moved to Los Angeles. The move from London to Los Angeles wasn't easy for Saul. He was a biracial kid in a world mostly filled with rich, white rock stars and their kids. He didn't quite fit in. Everything felt different, from the people to the schools, even the way kids acted. He found it hard to find where he belonged. Additionally, Ola's job meant she was always working late, often disappearing for hours or even days at a time. She was busy creating costumes for David Bowie and his movie, The Man Who Fell to Earth. While she was away, young Saul was left alone in a house full of strange people, loud music, overflowing ashtrays, and things no child should ever see. This wasn't just an occasional party, it was his everyday life. And then came the substances. They didn't sneak in, they were already part of his world. By the time Saul was 10, he was around things like cigarettes, alcohol, and other things that weren't good for him. He later confessed that he started trying them out before he even hit puberty. He even admitted to taking some of his mom's medicine, not understanding the dangers. But then again, just when it seemed like everything was falling apart, something changed. When Saul was 14, a friend played him a song by Aerosmith, and in that moment, everything shifted. The loud, gritty sound hit him deep, like a lightning bolt to the heart. Not long after that, his grandmother gave him an old, beat-up guitar with only one string. That moment felt like someone had handed him a way out of all the noise and confusion in his life. From that point on, he couldn't stop. He became completely focused. He practiced guitar for hours and hours every day, sometimes up to 12 hours straight. He got lost in the music of bands like Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix, Cream, and AC/DC. For him, this wasn't just a fun thing to do. It was something that helped him survive. Every note he played helped him let go of the stress, the sadness, and the chaos. Music became his way to breathe. However, even as he improved musically, his personal life stayed messy. His teenage years were far from glamorous. He was often homeless, couch surfing between friends' places, or staying with older women for a roof over his head. Yes, you heard that right. There were whispered rumors of relationships with women far older than him. In addition to being broke and broken, he was overlooked. Despite his famous parents, no one handed him a shortcut. He didn't get studio access, fancy lessons, or Hollywood favors. At one point, he was living out of a van parked behind the iconic Whiskey A Go-Go. He sneaked into clubs underage, begged for gigs, and let his talent speak louder than his circumstances. By the time he turned 18, he wasn't just Saul anymore. He was now Slash, a nickname given to him by actor Seymour Cassel, who said he was always moving around, full of energy, like a quick flash. The name stuck, and before you know it, it wasn't just a nickname. It became who he was. Besides falling in love with his guitar, he had also been into BMX racing and even won some trophies. But once he started playing music, everything else took a back seat. The rock scene in Los Angeles at the time was heating up. and Slash was about to become one of its brightest stars. He teamed up with his friend Steven Adler, another wild soul, and they started a short-lived band called Road Crew. It didn't last long, but it showed just how strong their love for loud, gritty rock was. It was through that wild music world that Slash met Axl Rose, a singer with a voice so powerful it could stop you in your tracks. Right away, there was a spark. When they played together, it was like magic. Soon, Izzy Stradlin, Duff McKagan, and Steven Adler joined in, and that's when everything changed. Guns N' Roses was born, and rock and roll would never be the same again. Their very first concert happened on March 26, 1985, at the Troubadour, a small but legendary club in Los Angeles. As soon as they stepped onto the stage, people could feel it wasn't just another group of loud guys with guitars. They had something wild, fresh, and real. They were messy, loud, and full of energy, and the crowd couldn't look away. In 1986, a big music company called Geffen Records signed them. They started making their first album, Appetite for Destruction. It was hot in the studio, and the work was tough. But Slash played every song with his whole heart, putting his feelings into every note. In July 1987, Guns N' Roses released their first album, Appetite for Destruction, but not many people paid attention at first. Their song, Welcome to the Jungle, had a music video, but MTV didn't want to show it. They thought it looked too scary and wild. Radio stations also didn't want to play it because the words were too rough. But the boss of their music company believed in the band's potential. He asked MTV to just show the video one time early in the morning when most people were still asleep. But people who saw it loved it. They started calling MTV to play it again and again, so MTV showed it more. Then radio stations started playing the song too. Soon, everyone was talking about Guns N' Roses. That album ended up becoming a huge hit, selling over 30 million copies, and became the most popular first album ever made in America. Slash and Axl both had the same big dream for their band, but sometimes that strong passion led to fights. Their arguments became just as famous as their music. Did Slash's hat hide more than just his hair? Could it be hiding his biggest heartbreak? Was he really happy when the cameras were off? Or was he quietly falling apart when no one was watching? The pain behind the hat. From the outside, Slash was the ultimate rock god. Top hat tilted low, cigarette dangling from his lips, curls cascading over his face like a curtain hiding secrets. Fans saw the legend and the swag, but what they didn't see was the storm quietly consuming him behind the scenes. Beneath the leather and the limelight was a man who had been shattered again and again, piecing himself back together with nothing but music and willpower. As Slash became more and more famous with Guns N' Roses, he also started facing some serious personal struggles. He got caught up in a tough lifestyle, using strong substances and drinking a lot. It was all part of the wild rock and roll scene he was living in at the time. But in the middle of all that chaos, something unexpected happened. He fell in love. In 1992, Slash married a model named Renee Suran. Their wedding was small and quiet, held near the water in Marina del Rey. It wasn't a big event with flashing cameras, and most people in the music world didn't pay much attention. Renee was different from the crowd. She was calm, kind, and soft-spoken. She brought a gentle and peaceful energy into Slash's fast and messy world. For a short time, it seemed like she might be the calm in his storm, someone who could help him slow down and find a little bit of peace. However, behind the scenes, things weren't as stable as they seemed. While Renee preferred privacy and calm, Slash was living out of hotel rooms, strung out on tour buses, and battling a substance dependency that ruled his every move. The two drifted. Eventually, the silence between them grew too loud. In 1997, after just 5 years, they divorced quietly. No tabloid drama, no public accusations, just a marriage that faded into the background like a forgotten love song. While his marriage quietly fell apart, another heartbreak hit Slash even harder, one he would carry for the rest of his life. His best friend, Todd Crew, wasn't just a bandmate or another guy from the music scene. Todd was family. The two were like brothers, sharing wild nights, big dreams, and a bond that felt unbreakable. They were always together, laughing, talking, playing music, and sometimes getting into trouble. But in 1987, during a stop in San Francisco, everything changed. It was supposed to be just another hotel, another night on tour. But that night, Todd took too much of a dangerous substance. Slash found him unconscious in the room. He shouted and begged, but it was too late. Todd passed away in Slash's arms. At that moment, Slash felt something inside him break. Losing Todd wasn't just the death of a friend. It was like losing a part of himself. And instead of pulling him out of addiction, Todd's death pulled him deeper into the emptiness. Substance use wasn't just an escape anymore. It was the only thing that numbed the grief. Moving on to 2001, Slash found himself in love again, this time with Perla Farrar. Unlike Renee, Perla wasn't quiet. She was bold, loud, and fiercely loyal. She challenged him, pushed him, and stood toe-to-toe with his chaos. They married in a small ceremony in Hawaii, and for a while, it looked like the rock star might finally find peace. Together, they had 2 sons, London and Cash, and for the first time, Slash had a family of his own. Even so, addiction still lingered like a shadow. In 2001, just months after marrying Perla, Slash's heart gave out. He was diagnosed with cardiomyopathy, a condition linked to years of substance abuse. Doctors gave him 6 days to live. 6 days. They implanted a defibrillator in his chest, and somehow he survived. But the scare wasn't enough to keep him sober. Not yet. It wasn't until 2006, after years of close calls and emotional ruin, that he finally chose sobriety. This time, he meant it. There were relapses, withdrawals, hospital visits, and nights filled with cold sweats and darker thoughts. But he kept going. However, recovery didn't fix everything. Love can survive addiction, but it doesn't always survive the aftermath. Perla had been his rock, but years of mood swings, financial fights, and emotional distance had taken their toll. In 2010, Slash filed for divorce. Then it was retracted, then filed again. The cycle was messy. They were in and out of court, arguing over custody, property, and money. Perla went public with her frustrations. Slash kept quiet. Eventually, in 2014, the divorce became final. Their 13-year marriage ended with him paying $39,000 monthly in child support. Still, Slash remained a present father, determined to give his sons the love and consistency he never had growing up. And yet, just when it seemed like he might disappear for good, a familiar face came back into his life. Megan Hodges, an old flame from his early days, quietly rekindled her relationship with him. Unlike Perla, Megan wasn't flashy. She didn't crave the spotlight. She had known Slash when he was Saul before he became famous. That familiarity brought him a rare kind of comfort. With Megan, he found stability, not the forced kind, but the kind that feels like exhaling after years of holding your breath. Yet even that small stability was shattered again in 2024. That year, tragedy struck badly. Slash's stepdaughter, Lucy Blue Knight, died suddenly at just 25 years old. While Lucy wasn't his biological child, he had helped raise her. She was family. He made a post on Instagram that described her as creative, compassionate, and always full of life. Lucy's loss broke him all over again. Reports say he canceled everything: appearances, interviews, even recording sessions, and retreated into complete silence. The cause of Lucy's death remains publicly undisclosed, adding to the mystery and pain. Now back to Slash and Axl. What tore them apart? Was it lies, trust issues, Or something darker? Could their friendship ever heal after everything that happened behind closed doors? Let's dive deeper. The epic fallout. If we are being honest, nobody saw the fight coming. Not even the fans. Not the band. Not even Slash himself. 1 minute, Guns N' Roses were on top of the world, touring, breaking records, and living the rock star dream, and the next minute, everything started falling apart. At first, it was a small disagreement. Axl started showing up late to shows, and I don't mean 10 or 20 minutes late, I mean hours. Fans would wait in stadiums forever. People booed, security got nervous, and sometimes the band didn't even know if Axl was coming. Meanwhile, Slash was always ready. He showed up, guitar in hand, waiting to play. But how long can someone wait in silence before it starts to hurt? You could feel the tension in the air. Something was off. And Slash wasn't the kind of guy to fight in public. He kept his cool, but his eyes said a lot. Here comes the real shocker. Gilby Clarke, who was playing rhythm guitar in the band, suddenly got kicked out without any warning or group talk. He was just gone. And guess who replaced him? A guy named Paul Tobias, Axl's childhood friend. Not a bad musician, sure, but here's the twist. Axl didn't tell anyone else in the band about it, not even Slash. Can you imagine building something with your best friend for years? And then one day, he brings someone new into your house without even asking you? That's exactly how it felt. Slash was shocked. That's when he knew things were changing fast, and not in a good way. Guns N' Roses used to feel like a family, but now it felt like Axl was running it alone. He was making all the choices. No teamwork, no trust, just power moves. And when Slash had had enough, he quietly walked away, not with a fight, not with a big speech, and the world could feel it. The heart of the band was missing. For a long time, Slash stayed silent about it. He focused on his solo music. He even started a new band, Velvet Revolver. But fans were still asking the same question: what happened? Meanwhile, their fans kept begging for a reunion over the years. People hoped that maybe, just maybe, they would talk again. And then, out of nowhere, Axl gave an interview that made everyone sit up straight. He said he had reached out to Slash. Yes, Axl said he left messages, tried to connect, and wanted to make peace. Fans went wild. Was this the big moment we'd all been waiting for? It didn't stop there. When Slash was asked about Axl, he said, "We don't talk about Axl here, and if you want to discuss Axl, go ask Axl." Was Axl just trying to look good for the media, or did someone mess up the message? Nobody knows. But that interview made one thing clear. These two rock stars were not on the same page. As if that wasn't confusing enough, rumors started flying around about a reunion. Do you think time can heal this shattered bond? What will really happen if these two legends cross paths again? The reunion, not in this lifetime. After decades of silence and unresolved tension, something unexpected happened. Axl Rose, Duff McKagan, and Slash found their way back to each other. The iconic trio, who had once set stages on fire and torn each other apart behind the scenes, were ready to talk. And it didn't stop at that. They were ready to heal. It began with a phone call no one saw coming. Slash was on tour in South America when Axl reached out. They agreed to meet. Over steak and quiet conversation at Axl's home, years of resentment melted away. They laid their history bare, from their mistakes to regrets and missed chances. And surprisingly, under all the ashes, the bond remained. Even though it's not perfect, it's still very much alive. By late 2015, whispers began swirling. Something was happening. Then came Christmas Day. A teaser trailer appeared before the new Star Wars film. There were no words or logos, just black and white shots of a concert crowd erupting, set to the haunting intro of Welcome to the Jungle. Fans held their breath. Was it really happening? Shortly after, it was confirmed. Guns N' Roses reunited to headline Coachella 2016, the rock world exploded. For years, Axl had insisted a reunion would happen not in this lifetime, but now that line has become the tour's ironic title. They kicked off with a surprise show at the Troubadour in Los Angeles on April 1st, 2016. It was an intimate venue where it had all begun. Then came Vegas, Mexico City, and a globe-spanning tour that lasted until November 2019. Africa, Asia, Europe, Oceania, North America, and South America. They played everywhere. With 175 shows and over 5 million tickets sold, Not in This Lifetime became one of the highest-grossing tours of all time, pulling in more than $580 million. They weren't alone either. Melissa Reese joined on keyboards, and even Steven Adler, the long-estranged original drummer, made surprise appearances at several shows. Seeing Adler back behind the kit for the first time since 1990 brought fans to tears. It was more than a reunion. It was indeed resurrection. In an interview with Abe Kanan, Slash expressed his relief.
Slash, you're my all-time favorite guitar player. You're my all-time favorite. Guns N' Roses are my all-time favorite band.
And how much he missed Axl. He said he was excited they could get past all their dramas. They began working on new material and releasing singles. For once, it didn't feel like things were going to crash again. Just a sense of hope, of maturity, of unfinished business being finished the right way. In addition, what happened after the shows were over? When the lights went out and the crowds went home, where did Slash go? Did he go back to his old ways? Or did he finally find some peace? Let's take a look at the man he is today. Present life and legacy. Slash has never paused his musical journey. Even during the quieter periods of Guns N' Roses, he remained immersed in music. Teaming up with Miles Kennedy and the Conspirators, Slash released albums that resonated deeply with fans. Their 2018 album, Living the Dream, showcased this collaboration's strength, blending classic rock vibes with polished production. In 2024, Slash unveiled his 6th solo album, Orgy of the Damned, a blues rock project released on May 17th through Gibson Records. This album features a star-studded lineup, including Brian Johnson, Chris Stapleton, Demi Lovato, and Iggy Pop, among others. The album pays homage to classic blues tracks, reimagined with Slash's signature guitar work. Notable singles include covers of Howlin' Wolf's Killing Floor and Fleetwood Mac, Oh Well. Beyond the stage, Slash has found joy in the quieter moments of life. As a father to 2 sons, London and Cash, he cherishes watching them grow and carve their paths. His transformation has allowed him to be present, offering them a version of himself untainted by past struggles. His relationships used to be messy and full of drama, but over time, he has changed. He has learned how to connect with others without all the chaos and confusion that used to follow him. Because of the things he's learned and how he has grown as a person, he's been able to build stronger, more meaningful relationships with the people around him. Now, he understands the value of real, calm connections with others. When asked about his legacy, Slash's answer is straightforward. It's all about the music. While his image is iconic, it's the emotional resonance of his music that he hopes endures. His influence spans genres, inspiring budding musicians and even being sampled by artists in the hip-hop realm. Slash's commitment to music extends beyond performance. He actively supports music education, collaborating with organizations like Music Will, formerly Little Kids Rock, to provide instruments and lessons to underserved schools. His involvement with institutions like the Musicians Institute further underscores his dedication to nurturing the next generation of artists. However, his philanthropic efforts don't stop there. Slash has been involved with various charities, including the Ronnie James Dio Stand Up and Shout Cancer Fund, honoring the legacy of fellow rock legend Dio. Through benefit concerts and fundraising events, he leverages his platform to support causes close to his heart. Venturing into new creative territories, Slash founded Slasher Films, a production company focusing on horror movies. Their debut film, Nothing Left to Fear, released in 2013, marked Slash's foray into film scoring, showcasing his versatility as an artist. Slash is 59 now, but he's not slowing down at all. He's still making new music, going on world tours, and staying connected with fans, both old and new ones just discovering him. His life used to be wild and full of trouble, but now he's more focused and clear-headed. His story shows that people can change and grow, no matter what they've been through. For Slash, it's not just about being fast and loud. It's about living a full life, learning from the past, and letting his music tell the story. Slash and Axl's story remains one of rock's most legendary feuds. They built something unforgettable, music that defined a generation, and a legacy that still echoes through time. But as we look back, one question lingers. Could things have been different? Or was the drama always part of the journey? Did we ever really know what happened behind the scenes? Or are we just knowing the version they wanted us to see? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. If you enjoyed this video, click on the next video on your screen.